Wananui greetings, everybody. Nau Mai, Haere Mai to the far Q. This podcast is an invitation for a conversation for people from all walks of life about access to equity within the context of our te roa. We invite you and our guests to share lived experiences in an effort to identify common threads within support systems, social networks, and knowledge that uplifts the collective human plight and experience. Kelsy, what's up?
In season 2, we are exploring what does equity and knowledge look like for various communities coexisting within one society. As tauiwi in Aotearoa, we recognise the mana whenua and kaitiaki of these lands. Maluseu and I have experienced most of our growth in the Waikato and want to honour Ngāti Haua, Ngāti Mahana and Ngāti Wairere.
Hey.
We are grateful for the connections our whakapapa weave through for us to be able to connect and grow with community through the whākiu kaupapa. Maluseu and I would also like to honour our queer ancestors who fought for our rights and visibility as equitable citizens of the world. Kia ora, I am Kelsy and I use they them pronouns.
Noia o te wasa Maluseu, and people use he him pronouns for me. We're going to jump straight in there, and are we leaning on to...
Yeah.
Are you leaning on? She's been potent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So on point for the last two.
Whakatauki number 26, thank you for the kaitiaki and the mana whenua who carry and traverse these potent crystals across the cosmos. 26 gives us ki te kotahi te kakaho ko whati ki te kapuia e kore e whati. If a reed stands alone, it can be broken. If it is in a group, it cannot. When we stand alone, we are vulnerable, but together we are unbreakable.
So good. Oh my god, again. Like, that is so... Like, that... from when I heard that, I'm like, that's what we're talking about today. Again. Like, every time.
For real.
For real.
Like 3 strikes.
Yeah. That's on, man. Yeah, for me it brought up, like, because in this episode we're going to be talking about what to expect in season 2 of whākiu, and it's like weaving together all these singular reeds to create this body of mahi, this piece of conversation that we can put into the world to then create more, to bring in more reeds from different spaces and places through community so that we're stronger together, you know, through storytelling and through sharing. So yeah, I feel into that hard today, for sure. Yeah. What about for you?
Echo. And it's, to me, I lean on yesterday's conversation, or I lean on the last episode's conversation, actually, around, because I think we both were having an existential crisis, being like, that's 40.
Yeah.
And then we were like,
oh my gosh.
Season 5 will have 100, and I'm like, that's 100 strong. We will be 100 strong in season 5, and season 5 is a long way away, and we don't know where that's going to take us. But I am so grateful that together with 100 we are strong, and even together with 20 we are strong. Like 20 has gifted so much. Really, 20 has gifted so much, and that's why I'm echoing everything that you said around what season 2's potential is and season 2's possibilities are, because I'm just so I'm ready. I'm ready to see where this strong bunch is gonna take both you and me, and then also both take the rest of our community and the rest of our village. So I'm really looking forward to that. And this whakatauki is just like when you lead in the love comes through fruitfully. Like, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
All
I
right.
think it's also like beyond the people that have shared their stories. It's gathering those people who may feel, the people in community who may feel like they can't have these conversations with people in their space, like people that are in proximity to them. This is also an opportunity through the whāki kaupapa to pull those people into this collection of reads. It's not just us and the people that share, it's everybody else that is involved as well, either through listening or through allowing people to come to share their story, like our people's whānaus, or all these different spaces and places where people are connected to the kaupapa in a different way that isn't just sharing their story.
And see, this is where I think you're so potently intelligent, and I don't know if this was a part of your meaning, but this is what I took away from following that train of thought, which inspired my train of thought, actually. So I just wanted to make sure that was the preface. There are times in our worldviews where we need to be removed from our communities to actually really highlight what they are. And I feel like because we've removed, we've allowed people the permission to come and speak on their communities, and then in doing so, we've built a new community. But it's like we have this interchangeable exchange of worldviews that actually foster love and also really foster nuance and difference, and in a loving way that doesn't confront or doesn't persuade or does all of these things. And that hit for me right now, where I'm like, actually, we've and inviting these people in, we've allowed them to reflect on their communities, but at the same time, we have really, really been enriched by the community that they've helped us build with this, and that has hit harder today in this moment with you than ever, because I'm like, oh. So I don't know if that's what you meant, but I'm like, that hit harder, so much harder.
Yeah, for sure. How does that feel to have that realization?
It quenches my yearning to be seen as someone who is intersectional, because I'm always like, I feel like I like all of my like, I've got the Pacifica, I've got the Rotuma, I've got the Tuvalu, I've got all of these different beautiful communities that kind of have a similar yet nuanced plight, and yearn for connection, yearn for belonging, yearn for enrichment of any sorts. And that's what I've found with being in Kiribati communities and Tuvaluan communities and Tongan communities and Samoan and Fijian communities. And that's the beauty of actually bouncing around a lot of, different villages that offer very much similar yet different in approach, but very much similar in terms of that belonging, and in terms of that love that they protect as well as promote. And that's what I'm like, oh, I really feel seen. I really feel like that yearning I got to co-create with you and everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's an important note. It wasn't just you and I. And like you've already said, it's everybody else that is shared as well. Yeah. How
does that feel for you? Or does that hit different? Or does that inspire anything for you? Or is that... Because thank you for leading me into that that portal.
Yeah, I think like as we're moving into season 2, the like the understanding of it's not just the person that's sharing their story. It's everyone that allows them to be in that space to share their story, and all the people that allow you and I to be in this space to share and to curate and to kind of like awhi this kaupapa along. Like, I think last season, like in season 1, we were really good at honouring our people that shared their stories, and I think this season I'm really feeling more into, yes, those people shared their stories and that's incredible and such a beautiful, beautiful gift, but what was the recipe that allowed them to do that?
Love.
Yeah.
Love.
So
love.
It's definitely there from season 1, but just way more amplified this season. Yeah.
And see, that as a whakaaro takes everything, like I can take that into a workspace and really be thankful that their families are giving them the time to be there to do the kaupapa of the mahi.
Yeah.
Because that's such an interdisciplinary thought whakaaro, and I'm glad that you're actually really bringing that alignment and intentionality for season 2, because that is exactly that's a part of my values actually. If I do say so myself, actually.
Amazing.
Love you. Hard. All right, season 2. What is our topic, Kelsy?
So season 2, we are looking at knowledge. So in season 1 we're looking at support. In this season we're looking at knowledge. So between season 1, end of season 1, so March, and now, so like a year, the first like 7 or 8 months of that, Maluseu and I completely stepped away from whākī everything, to have some space to reflect, so that we weren't just jumping in just to do the thing. Like, we wanted to be really intentional, so we took time to really go deep and reflect on what worked and what didn't, and how we wanted to shift. And support was definitely an incredible place to start. But yeah, this season we're looking at knowledge, and that kind of came up from that reflective time that we had. Was, for me, and I'll claim my reflection on this time, was support's great, but like, if you don't know that it's there, or if you don't know what support looks like for you, or if you've never seen that in your space, how can you know? Like, how do we get to the knowing? And what is the recipe of getting to the knowing, whatever that looks like for an individual? And that became really interesting to me. So I was like, so we have like kind of the same format of what does equity in blah 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 look like for various communities coexisting in one society. And so we swapped out knowledge for support for knowledge this season. So it's really, really interesting, and yeah, I'm really excited. What did that reflection really time look like for you?
Yeah, it gave, so kind of like the gifts that I offered you in episode 2, it gave me more opportunity to actually embody the whakaaro, because it was very much still like really great ideas and imaginaries and intellectualism. And when I brought it down to me and my body and how I walk with this and how I talk with this, how do I extend my love with this, I'm like, oh, it really did kind of give me a sense of knowledge, or again, it gave me like my own version of what that could be. And I feel like that's why I was really curious. And as soon as you offered knowledge, I was really curious about how different communities actually, like, what is the production of knowledge for that community? What is the, like, what is the recipe of how you make knowledge and how you sustain knowledge and the succession of knowledge? And me being someone who directly benefits from knowledge, I'm really like, this is something that I lean into, because it's something that I'm either very much nurtured and conditioned into, or it's a part of my nature, and both is probably the answer. But I'm just so intrigued by knowledge. I'm like, to receive knowledge is amazing, and to receive knowledge from word to word, from mouth to mouth, is so amazing. And I'm really glad that you've given me the opportunity to transfer this to online, because kanohi ki te kanohi, like, conversations is my jam. And then we get to invite other people to then elongate our thinking and our feeling capacity around what knowledge is. I'm like, that's why this is so important to me. That's why this kaupapa is so important to my walk. and you specifically in this kaupapa is so important to my walk because our long drives to Kirikiri or Kaitaia were the best. The starting foundational levels of whāki kaupapa.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
But yeah, for sure, there was definitely, we went through a couple of different ideas of what the overarching topic could be for this season. But when the idea of knowledge was floated, it definitely was like, yeah, that's the one. Because we understand it. We want to preface the season with saying that everybody has knowledge, and knowledge looks different for everybody. And everyone has their innate knowledge that they are born with. So knowledge, when we talk about knowledge, we're not talking about like the academic Western idea of what knowledge is. And that's kind of what we want to explore. We want to see what knowledge looks like for each person that comes through to share their story around knowledge and knowledge in their communities. So yes. So this is season 2. How exciting. We're talking about knowledge, equity and knowledge, and what that looks like for communities and society. So super, super exciting. And we have 3 kind of leading questions for the season as well.
We sure do. So the first one will be exploring what is knowledge to our guest. How does our guest acquire knowledge? How do they wear and move with knowledge? Which is really much an invitation for a conversation around what knowledge is and how our guest decides to really maneuver around this topic of knowledge. Yeah. Our second question is, which stories have you archived, inventoried, or placed in the back of your high security vault? So that's another way of asking, what are your stories that you've placed in the whāki? So it's a really, we're trying to figure out if there is stories that we've parked, because for some reason here or there, or otherwise, some guests will say, yes, we've parked some stories and I don't want to talk about them because they're for different safety reasons. So we're happy to entertain all of that. And then last but not least, the last question is, what knowledge do you hold in your body, your mind, your soul, and your heart? And that's the question that we're really wanting to just entertain the imaginaries of where knowledge is actually held. And that is something that Kelsy and I have, I don't know about you, Kels, but for me, it's been really interesting to figure out how much knowledge that my body holds without me even giving a second thought to it.
For sure.
And I'm like, so understanding that has been really healing because we've been able to release some stories and also find out why stories still are attached to the body.
Yeah.
But even so I'm really excited to hear what our guests gift us in regards to mind, soul, and heart, because I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, Kels, but I'm really looking. There is I have to admit, there is a bit of nervousness because I know how much transformation we both have done after 20 conversations, and it's like this excited nerves of being like, I don't know if I'm ready to learn, and also, can I jump on board now?
Yeah. Well, I feel that too, brother. I am there with you. It's like, wow, what kind of journey are we going to go on this season? So those are like our leading questions for this season, and doesn't mean that we're going to ask every question every episode. We definitely like to let our person who's sharing lead the conversation. So you'll likely hear most, if not all, of those questions throughout each episode, or the conversation might naturally kind of flow in a different direction, and we surrender to that. So yes, but in saying that, in the saying surrendering, this season we have and are continuing to surrender to our how do we say this nicely? Like surrendering to our circumstances, I guess. So Uncle COVID came back with a vengeance, and Our intention for season 2 was to kind of have like all kanohi to kanohi conversations over a couple of weeks and kind of really like sink in to a space, like a physical space with our people, and they could come and go as they liked, and we were going to do it over a 2-week period, but then Uncle COVID came back, so we had to adapt. And I think initially, for myself anyway, I was like, do we just wait till the COVID is gone? Because face-to-face is where we thrive. Like, this is where our superpower is, and the face-to-face. And that's a lot of the feedback that we got from season 1 was the in-person like space that we created for people when they came to share their stories. And we're like, okay, so if our superpower is gone, or our perceived superpower is taken away out of circumstance that are beyond our control, what next? And we also, like, technically as well, how do we record a 3-person conversational podcast online but still kind of having like semi-decent audio quality that people want to listen? So you will see, and also we threw into the mix video for season 2 podcast as well, so if you're just listening, you can jump up on YouTube and watch them. So we moved season 2 online, so season 2 has been completely done online, which has been a whole new lot of learnings for us, and a lot of adaptation. And like, if you're watching, you can see that we've got headphones and like other things, and yeah, it's been a journey so far, and it will continue to be a journey as we move through season 2. But what we are asking is that please give us some grace. We are figuring this out as we go. The audio quality might not be as on point as season 1, but we didn't want to put off season 2 because of circumstance, because of the COVID, essentially. So we forged ahead, and season 2 definitely looks a bit different than season 1. We've added video, but also we've had to adapt the way that we do our practice. So yeah, pretty much that's my rant. That's my way of saying sorry if the video is a little delayed every now and then. Like, Wi-Fi might not be that great. If the audio quality is subpar in comparison to season 1, we're figuring it out. Yeah, it was important for us to keep moving with the kaupapa rather than giving in to COVID. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Malu?
No, I feel like you've really covered that really well.
Yeah.
And I love that you've already offered the grace card, because we do ask for grace. Yeah. And at the same time, I guess the thing that I'd really want to point out at this point in time. Great. Wow. Anyways, I'm really thankful that we had a shift in consciousness or shift in mind as soon as that happened, and we were like, hey, let's see this as an opportunity, and we both jumped on board the wagon. Sure. And I really want to uplift that, because everything was telling us no to not even go forward, and the easiest and the low-hanging fruit of that conversation, it would be just like, oh yeah, well, we can stop and give it to COVID, and I'm like, what's the opportunity here? And then at the same time, if our best gift was removed, how can we still show up? And I'm like, oh yeah, it is scary. And I'm glad that you've already nodded to all of those things. But yeah, I'm really glad that we both jumped into the space of being like, no, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to still do the important work that we do, or the important heart, love, and just the important love that we both hold for each other and for the communities that we are still actually wanting to connect with, because that's the whole point of the kaupapa, is we're wanting to connect and see other communities that are not easily accessible to us as well.
For sure. Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm going to jump back into our whakatauki. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, before we do that, I just want to say check out all our new branding. Thank you to Ink Drop and Lisa and the team at Ink Drop.
Lisa.
So on, man. So on. That's something that we've been working on for quite a while, since about September, October 2021, with that team, and they've really leaned into working with us to create the new branding. So I just want to uplift Lisa and her crew for all the mahi that they've put into our branding, and as we continue to work together over this next little while with a couple of other things that are coming up. So thank you to the Ink Drop crew. It all looks incredible, and I'm so stoked that we finally get to share it with our community. So
thank you for helping us bridge our story with our media. You've done a great job. We are so happy and impressed, and it was very much a co-collaboration of sorts. And that's actually probably another thing that I want to really uplift in this moment, is that we got to co-collaborate with Lisa at such a personal, loving level, to a point where we really thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, for sure. So good. Yeah.
All right. So coming back, ki te kotahi te kakaho ka whati ki te kapuia e kore e whati. If a reed stands alone, it can be broken. If it is in a group, it cannot. When we stand alone, we are vulnerable. But together, we are unbreakable.
Yeah. Same thing as at the start. The whākī kaupapa is an incredible way that we get to, be strong together through storytelling, which, I think is just incredible. I'm so happy that this is something that presented itself to you and I in a way, and something that we have both continuously worked to bring to fruition with the support of so many people. Yeah.
And I feel like I do want to weave in, you know how we used to you used to joke around about being like, I needed to something to do to deal with my mental health at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has actually been really, really helpful. If you would allow me to alchemize that joke, it has been the most helpful thing ever for me. For me, it's been so helpful to lean on other people's way of dealing and walking through this life. And I'm just like, what started off as like the joke that we were weaving in is actually very much, and I think we always laugh about it. Jokes are always 50% true. And I'm like, actually,
that joke I feel like 95% true. I just didn't want to deal with my breakup at the time, and I was like, anything not to think about it. Yeah.
And then you just challenged the both of us, throwing us in the deep end of the ocean.
I was like, let's do this.
Hey,
so I don't have to think about things.
It's like, that's the least of your worries. It's over here. And I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
No. Yes. We love Aroha, and definitely feel so much more, I genuinely do feel stronger because of the whakaaro that I'm able to carry and hold within me, but at the same time bring out and hold space for other people, and it actually provides me with more tools to hold space for other people's nuances, and that's probably the best gift that I've been able to really hold space for other people who I usually would just look over because I'm so in my own way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just like, yeah, I definitely feel like there's a kingdom that is already in there, and those stories allowed me to weave and hold more space for other people.
Amazing.
Love you. Love the kaupapa. And we hope you all get to really feel the love that our 20 guests are bringing to the table.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fucking on, man. So good.
Like, bleep, bleep, bleep. No. No, we're explicit. It's all right.
Yeah. From like day one, we were marked explicit. Why? Who fucking knows
You
why
already
that would have
know.
been?
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Do, 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 do.